Line 2 towards Kennedy.
Hello there, it is Tuesday, February 13th. The time is 2:09 p.m. and I'm here at Islington subway station. And for this one, we're going to be taking a walk around Islington Village. And it's been a while since I've been through Islington Village. I think I was last here about 3 years ago. As I fidget with my camera. And outside it's about 4 degrees Celsius. And this is a station undergoing a redevelopment. It's the former terminal station of Line 2. And later this year this construction work is supposed to be completed, and it's supposed to be elevator accessible. And this way will lead you up over to the bus area. But we're going to head outside and walk north up Islington Avenue, up to Dundas Street. I think I might just end up going in one big loop. I just did a video down at Kipling Station. So let's head on up to street level. There's the intersection of Islington and Bloor Street West. There's a Mississauga bus. And up until about 3 years ago, those used to be a much more common sighting in this area, but most of the Mississauga buses have shifted being served by Kipling Station. They built a new Byway and Go Bus terminal there. And Islington Village is located between Bloor Street to the south of here, which is behind me, and Rathburn Road to the north. Islington Avenue here, which is on my right, to the east, and Kipling Avenue to the west. And there's been a number of new developments popping up. Not quite as many as around Kipling Station. I believe officially the City of Toronto designates this area as Islington City Centre. And their boundaries extend all the way to the 427 and even just west of that towards the city of Mississauga. And Islington Village dubs itself as the Village of Murals. There are something around 25 different murals along the stretch of Dundas Street. We'll see some of them, certainly not all of them. This is the former borough, or I guess city, of Etobicoke. I'll cross over to the other side and we'll cut through Tom Riley Park, and that'll take us up to an old heritage building, Montgomery's Inn. And then we'll start walking southwest along Dundas Street. But once you get outside of downtown and the major areas around Midtown and North York, much of Toronto looks just like this. Not particularly pedestrian friendly, still very much car centric. There is a rental building. And this is very common these days. They want to build a 35-story building on the same property. A 35-story residential building. It doesn't say if it would be a condo or a rental building. Given that it steps from the subway station, I would say that's entirely appropriate. Let's cross the road here. I once played a baseball game at that field over there back when I was in high school. 9 seconds till the light changes. One of the reasons I don't like areas like this, at least not to live personally, is the lack of a commercial retail presence on major streets. You either have to head up to Dundas Street or down to Bloor Street. I feel like high-density buildings like this really ought to have businesses at their doorstep. So cutting through this park is the Mimico Creek, and just east of that is the Humber River, the divide between Etobicoke and the old city of Toronto. And the designated bullpen area. That's pretty neat. Although the batting cage looks like it's seen better days. I think I was around 14 when I played here. What's interesting is to center field, it's like 285. Down the line is 300, so that is a very shallow porch to center field. It's rare that it's easier to take one deep dead center than down the line. There's a few different crossing points here where we can cross the Mimico Creek. There's what looks to be a large high school. This is quite nice and serene. And this is flowing south, emptying out into Lake Ontario. And this school here has an artificial playing surface. Apparently there's coyotes in the area. That is the Etobicoke Collegiate Institute. There's the lawn bowling club just here on the right. Then we're going to head up and walk past Montgomery's Inn. An old hotel and tavern that dates back to the 1830s. It's one of the oldest known still surviving buildings in Islington Village. It's currently operating as a museum. EtobicokeLawnBowling.com. New bowlers welcome. I've tried live streaming down here on multiple occasions. Every time I come this way, I seem to run into connection hiccups. It's been a few years since I've been here. Let me see how Rogers performs. Oh, that almost 100 up and at 600 down is beastly good. Maybe I'll come back and stream through this area at some point in the near future. There's Montgomery's Inn. I mentioned it's a museum, and it is free from Wednesdays to Sundays, I think, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. There's also a farmer's market held here once a week. I don't think during the winter, though. This is Dundas Street West, that oddball section of Dundas. That runs north of Bloor. Just to the southwest of here, it dips south of Bloor. And it runs across Toronto, and then at the Junction neighbourhood. It dips south of Bloor once again. And the reason for that is Dundas is actually a series of smaller streets stitched together. It was not one continuous street. Most of Toronto's major streets, you'll notice, are pretty much ruler straight, east and west, north, south. Dundas is a bit of an oddball. So I'm going to walk past much of the commercial area up ahead. I'm going to cut south through a park and residential area back down to Bloor. Welcome to Islington, Toronto's village of murals. And sadly, some of those murals have been vandalized over the years and continually cleaned up. There are 20 of them here. I think there's over 25 actually. This is murals painted from 2004 to 2011. This might need updating. And we are here. Oh, that's actually Kipling subway station. We are more over here. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk to here and go south. So we'll miss those three. Most of them are on the north side of the street though. 1, 2, 3. There's just 5 on this side. But these 5 are coming up. So maybe at Cordova Avenue, I'll cross over to the north side. If I can remember. There's a Mississauga passenger drop-off only stop. So you can't get on there and head over to Islington Station. And the good news, as of October 24th, as part of the province's One Fare program, you'll have 2-hour free transfers between Mississauga and Toronto. So at long last, there'll be fare integration between the various transit agencies, something that always should have been the case. Especially since it's not a distance-based fare system. There's a Rabba, a very expensive place to get any groceries.
I put a lot of those questions I answered.
There's the first mural. Like I said, we're bound to miss a number of them on this walk. Most of the houses in this area date back to the 30s, 40s, and 50s. Here's a neat one, kind of a cross-section of an old-timey house. An area that seems to be starting to gentrify. Oh, this is Cordova. This is where I said I would cross over. It looks like there's some construction going on that side. Things might be a little more interesting on this side for another block or so. I had a feeling we'd see a mural right around this corner. Faces of Islington. This mural celebrates the ethnic and cultural character of Islington as it has changed over the last century. So I think with this redevelopment over here, there's a few of them that we won't be able to see. Monangul Dubu. Appears to be a Korean-owned market. This area definitely has a very different feel to it. And pretty much anywhere else in the city, I would say. At least this stretch of Dundas. And the building that houses the Fox and the Fiddle over there dates back to 1873. And we've got another mural. This one is Gone But Not Forgotten. This property portrays the property known as Brierley, home to the William Montgomery family from 1870 to 1989. It's a Korean restaurant, Insadong. It's a popular tourist area in Seoul. And across the street is the old Islington burial ground. The first known cemetery in this area. I think the first person ever buried there just happened to be passing through town. Oh, here we go. Islington Then and Now. This mural depicts Dundas Street West at 3 different stages in Islington's history. I think I want to try to cross here. And if we can catch a break in traffic. So this was also known by a different name. I think it was the Old Pioneer Cemetery. Not too many people buried here. There's the Islington Senior Center. Gordon's Dairy. That's the name of this one. Ordinary Folk, Extraordinary Lives. These are apparently the founding families of this area. John Kuna in 2016. Yeah, I knew that sign we saw coming into the village needed to be updated. I didn't recognize a lot of the murals on that one. The Way We Were. So John Kuna appears to be the artist. Oh, this one he did in 2006. It was also part of the Way We Were theme. Ooh, this might be my favorite. There's this car weren't parked here. Oh, I look around. This one is called Mimico Creek, depicting the Mimico Creek in 1920. And they called this the Village of Murals. They were not lying. Hamburger, 50 cents. Hot dogs, sandwiches, hot pretzels, hot cashews, coffee, tea, hot cider. Think at a modern food stand, only hot cashews and hot cider might disappear. Everything else still might be present. Ontario Gothic. That one dates back to 2011. That's a new look at the famous 1930 Grant Wood painting American Gothic. Not a fan of apartment buildings like this that just meet the street through a commercial area in that way. This is Harold G. Ship's first high flyer, painted by John Kuna in 2008. I highly doubt a bomber would get that close to the action. They're playing a variant of Canadian football, which, sorry Americans, came first. They derived from rugby. Village of Islington Business Excellence Center. Rocking its own mural. There's Michael Power Park. And a lot of these buildings look pretty new. I'm pretty sure they've been here for over 20 years. I don't see a heritage designation on this building. Off the main corridor, you can see it's mostly low density housing. There's just 2 murals here. I think there's 3 more to go, but we'll check these 2 out, then I'll cross the street and make my way south down to Bloor. It's appropriate next to a sushi restaurant. I have this one depicting fishing in the Mimico Creek. This one is Finding the Radials. An old-timey tram. So Dundas Street continues west for a few blocks and then it bends south. And goes through the old Spaghetti Junction. I think what I'll do is I'll do a live stream through that area at some point. I'll start at Islington Station. And I'll make my way east along Bloor. But we're going to go down Michael Power Street. So this will be it for the main commercial stretch of Islington Village. We'll take a look at how some of the locals live, or at least where they live. There's a property for rent. Looks to be number 36. Michael Power. Could probably Google that one and find out. That looks like it's a splash pad. This almost has a similar vibe to parts of Liberty Village, believe it or not. Similar style of building and color scheme. I think that might be a seniors care facility. Gated entrance. I think more people in this area still probably drive and take any other means to get around. And this is going to take us down to Bloor Street. Those tall buildings over there are right around Kipling subway station. I apologize if you hear a little clicking sound in the video. I'm starting to hear something, I think, coming from my backpack. Got a package in there I need to drop off. Post box. Something I forgot. I just remembered. I probably could have done that earlier. And just up ahead is where Dundas Street dips out the Bloor. This is Bloor Street West. Rocking bike lanes. These were bike lanes our premier complained about. Yeah, they're really causing a lot of harm, aren't they? And they don't even carry on through under this underpass. So this is east on the south side of Bloor Street. I'm just going to take this back over to Islington Station and we'll wrap up in front of the station. This area feels a little barren. There's a My Way bus. We'll be stopping by Kipling Station, or I guess Kipling Terminal, as it's officially called. This is the very south end of Islington Village. There's an articulated My Way bus. One that appears to be out of service. There's no one on it. The sign isn't lit. Back to Islington Station, built in 1968 and was the eastern terminus of Line 2 up until 1980. It looks like there's a number of buildings, 32 to 52 stories planned for this lot. I think up until the 2005 it had public washrooms. It's a huge criticism of the Toronto Transit Commission subway system, the lack of restroom facilities, and that's something you really notice when you go abroad. You realize a lot of the stations in other countries have clean and well-maintained facilities. In Toronto, it's pretty much only the terminal stations and a few other exceptions. And because they moved all the bus or Mississauga bus is but one to Kipling. This bus terminal has really been hollowed out. I don't know what the future plans are for it. This is a really expensive piece of land, I think. The city would be well off to reconfigure it and sell this corner off to development. That might very well be what they're going to do. And this is a neat stretch of Bloor Street coming up, so I'll come back and record that from here to either Royal York or Old Mill at some point. But we have come full circle. There's the entrance where I stepped out of the station at the start of this one. So I hope you enjoyed this walk. Literally around at least part of Islington Village. Let me know your thoughts and comments down below. If you wish to support what I do on YouTube, there's links to my Patreon and YouTube channel membership. Down in the description, I have an Instagram account at Johnny Strides, and there is a super thanks button appearing down below the video if you wish to say thanks that way. I'm going to sign off now. So, thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Yoink.